the assembly? Come on in. I'm Marie. I'm not really Grieger, but hi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Dan.
Thought you had all the answers to rest your head up. But something happens, don't see it coming now. You can't stop yourself. Now you're out there.
Well, maybe wow now.
Life keeps tumbling out in circles till you let go, till you shed your pride, climb to heaven, and you throw yourself off. Now you're out there spinning
Yes, yeah. I think we need to put that
Sing along if you know the words. Might be recognizable to some people.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow and caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screen, but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you, 'cause there's a spark in you, you just gotta ignite the light and let it shine, just on the night of the 4th of July. Baby, you're a firework, come on now, fireworks, make 'em go oh, 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 as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework, come on, let your colors burst, make 'em go oh, 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 leave 'em all in oh, oh, oh. You don't have to feel like a waste of space, your original cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds, after a hurricane comes a rainbow. Ain't the reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open up and lead you to the perfect road.
Thank you, David Norris and the band. Give it up for one more time. Welcome everyone to Sunday Assembly, the organization that helps us live better, wonder more, and live better, help often, and wonder more. Today we have a great presentation for you today, and we're here to celebrate the one life we have together. And so I just welcome you to engage in with the music and have some fun as we celebrate together today. And now we would like, so since it's rain today, I thought it'd be great if we shared with each other our favorite rainy day stories, either from childhood or maybe you have a more recent memory from adulthood. So I think that'd be a great way to kind of get to know your neighbors here at your table.
What do you like to do on rainy days?
The patio was literally covered with ants, and that's what was moving. They were coming all around and it was literally this brown part of our place. I mean, the other side was a trail that was all over the single formation.
Yeah, I understand.
It's very similar to yours. Maybe a year or two ago, my mother and I walked from his apartment in uptown. And on the way there, it was raining. And then while we were in there, it just started like to wind us down. And we were like, well, do we wait or do we go? And so we were got like a 12-pack of beer and we were trying to solve bottles up to my knee. It was so fun though. We got
Which part? Oh, really?
And I just started
I have a friend in Wallingford.
and I just sat there cheering in this rain. And
That's
we're
very
kids outside looking at me like,
How'd you end up here? I have an aunt who lives in Southern California. She said yes, the weather was better, but nothing else was better.
Well, I hope everyone's had an opportunity to share some stories. I'm sure there's some great ones out there. I kind of have one of my kind of adult stories of my own was I was in college. During kind of the storm of 2005, there's a tornado went through and knocked out a bunch of power. So a bunch of us college students living in the dorm had zero power. And so for like the first hour, we watched movies, and then that wasn't an option anymore. And then our cell phones died. And so it was kind of funny because we were also attached to technology. We ended up going to Perkins because there was a Perkins that was open, and it's the only thing that's open 24/7 where you can eat. So it was a really kind of a good experience to actually like kind of get away from the screens and stuff. And sometimes, you know, it could almost be nice if we had that problem more often. I don't know what kids today would do without power. They might not understand what's going on. But you might say, carry on, wayward son. Which happens to be our next song.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a moment.
While David's getting his moment, I'm gonna invite everyone to stand up and sing with the band today, because it really makes the band feel good. Because they really kind of just need that support. So if you're willing and able, I think it'll be a lot of fun. And so let's hit it, David.
Any supernatural fans?
Oh, she's good.
There's two nerds among us, just so you know.
Okay.
Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. change places.
And now with David on the harmonica.
Melodica. You'll find out. It's exciting.
I wish she came with dress.
Here we come to a turning of the season. Witness to the arch toward the sun. The neighbor's blessed burden within reason. Comes a burden born of all in one. And nobody knows. Let the yoke fall from my shoulders. Don't carry it all, don't carry it all. We are all our hands and holders beneath this cold and brilliant sun. This I swear to all. Monument to build beneath the arbors. On a plinth that towers towards the trees. Let every vessel pitching hard to starboard lay its head on summer's freckled knees. And nobody knows. Let the yoke fall from our shoulders. Don't carry it all, don't carry it all. We are all our hands and holders beneath this bold and brilliant sun. This I swear to all. This I swear to all. There a wreath of trillium and ivy laid upon the body of the boy. Lazy will alone come from his hiding. Return this quiet searcher to the soil. Make the last turning of the seasons. And watch it as it arcs towards the sun. And you must bear your neighbor's burden within reason. And your labors will be born when all is done. And nobody knows. Let the yoke fall from our shoulders. Don't carry it all, don't carry it all. We are all our hands and holders beneath this bold and brilliant sun. This I swear to all. 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 To all, to all, to all, to all.
Hi.
All right, so I just got done belting out my voice. Now I'm going to try to read for you. Catch my breath. The book I'm going to read from is called The Kid by Dan Savage. And he writes about his experience adopting a child. And we talk about babies today, so I thought we could bring in a little testosterone into the mix. Plus, I really like Dan Savage from other things. So let me use my technology here. So, to back up a little bit, this book was written, I want to say 1999, and so they were adopting, Terry and Dan were adopting a kid at a time when gay marriage was completely illegal in all 50 states. And we've changed a lot. Our cultural view on that has changed a lot in the last 16 or so years. But to give you a framework where they're coming from, this is what I'm going to start to read. Telling friends and family that we decided to adopt was harder than we thought it would be. We were unprepared for the most common reaction. Why? Instead of giving the long answer over and over again, lesbians, next-door neighbors, lawyers, birth moms, etc., I just answer, because it's illegal to steal children. Or, we need a hobby. I told a few friends the truth. I wanted an excuse to get fat. Now when people ask, I say, buy the book. Why is not a question straight people having kids are required to answer. Everyone understands why straight people have kids. They get drunk, they get naked, they get pregnant. And someone has to milk the goats or be the next king of England. You're having kids because you're straight, and that's what straight people do. Straights who don't want to breed are unable to do so are the ones who have some explaining to do. My brother Billy, who doesn't want kids, has to explain himself to our mother 3 or 4 times a week. All right. So that's just a little bit, and then because they chose to adopt, they had to go through a home evaluation. So I wanted to read about that. I do want to. Yes? I'm sorry. I'm going to only have to read it a little. I'll read a shorter portion of it. Our home study was more complicated than we thought it would be. It wasn't one visit at home with an agency counselor, but 4. One visit with both of us parents, one visit with each parent alone, and a follow-up home visit with both again. After we sent in our completed application, we got a call from Anne, who was going to do our home study. The day before our first appointment, Terry and I took steps to deceive Anne, misrepresent our relationship, and conceal the truth of our living arrangement. We cleaned. There's a little more, but I don't have it. So.
Thanks, Aaron. That was a great selection that you chose for us today. The great thing about Sunday Assembly is we don't have any doctrine, so we can choose to share sources of wisdom wherever they come. I was once a baby, as all of you were, but I don't remember much about that time period in my life. So today we have an expert on babies. Jennifer Knight earned her degree in wildlife ecology and conservation from the University of Florida, and she has done lots of different research on all kinds of critters, but has chosen the human critters as her favorite. Since then, she has taught environmental education, now works as a naturalist in the Twin Cities. She's also a new mother, and so is the perfect person to talk to us today on this topic.
Hey, Tom! Hey, Tom!
Alright, I am also good at technology today, so see if it cooperates. Alright, so
today I wanted to talk about lactation or breastfeeding. Last week was actually World Breastfeeding Week, so maybe some of you know about that. So I thought it might be apropos to the talk of babyhood is how we feed them. And lactation has given the scientists a lot of trouble, particularly from an evolutionary standpoint. It's been the subject of a lot of debate because babies can't survive without it, without nursing or without some source of initial nutrition. So how could it evolve? What came before it if they need it now? So there's a really interesting story to how it came about, and to do that, I'm going to have to show you this. Now, don't be alarmed. This is a cladogram, all right? But all you need to know are these friendly, familiar-looking words right here. Okay, these are the more or less all modern animals. Okay, and right about here, where these critters broke off, is about when things started coming up onto land. Okay, so this story of lactation begins millions and millions of years ago, long before mammals or anything like them existed. Okay, so our very early moist ancestors have crawled their way onto land, and it's pretty great up here because there's a lot of new food sources and all kinds of stuff. But it is very dry. Okay, so all of these organisms were reproducing by laying eggs, and their eggs, like modern day fish eggs, are fishy and need to be in water. They have permeable shells. They don't really have a shell. It's a membrane that stuff can flow in and out of, not just water, but microbes, nutrition, other things that would be in, say, ocean water. Okay, they got onto land, and they needed to figure out how to keep eggs to stay viable, right? So that is not going to make it on a patch of dirt. So, skipped ahead to all the good parts. All right, that's cool. So we had to get from this, which these guys up here do. And so again, right here, as we get onto land, animals start coming up with new solutions to this dry land thing. And the eggs start changing. Okay, so modern day reptiles, their eggshells are kind of leathery, right? So they're a little bit permeable. Some air and moisture go in and out. They usually have to be buried. That helps keep things humid. So that was one solution to this egg drying out problem. Bird eggs, they went in a different direction. They have very hard shells. Okay, so that really keeps everything from drying out. But these shells aren't very permeable. Okay, so there's no way for microbes or other nutrients to get in and out as much. Okay, so that's another solution. And then we have even some mammals had some eggs going on, and we still have mammals today that lay eggs. And there were a lot of other ancient animals that don't fit into any of these categories that fell somewhere in between of all of these solutions. Okay, so coming up with new eggs was one of the main solutions to the dry land problem. But there was another alternative that some amphibians still use today. So we have those squishy, jelly, membranous eggs that would totally dry out if their loving parent didn't sweat on them. Okay, it's all a bond with the juices. And that attention kept them going. So here we have a modern day example of an animal secreting something, losing something out of its body for its young. Okay, it's just to keep the eggs from drying out, but that's step number one in this story. Okay, dry land, and we are getting moisture. Now, here's the next little jump. Where there's moisture, there tends to be bacteria, fungi, things that we call microbes, right? And a lot of these microbes are good. Some microbes fight off bad microbes. So the thought here is that while some of these ancient animals were going down different paths of solving this dry land problem, the ones that were juicing all over their eggs were creating a moist environment that hosted beneficial microbes. So, the juicier the animal, the more microbes, the healthier the environment, those genes got passed on. Okay? So now evolution is pointing them in the direction of more juices are good. Now, genetics are a very complicated topic. I'm going to glaze over some things. Needless to say, other stuff was in this juice besides just moisture, just liquid. Like your own sweat, okay? There's salts, there's hormones, there's other things mixed in there. So once again, our juicy critters are selecting for moisture, for the nice environment they're creating. And now we're going to start selecting towards what makes up the chemistry, okay? So we've got all that going. The next step is taking this past eggs. Okay, so right now we're making juices and stuff for the eggs. But nursing, breastfeeding, lactation, that's all post-birth neonate baby stuff, right? So again, we're going to look to a modern amphibian for some answers. This is a caecilian, which is a worm-like creature related to frogs and salamanders. And it's a very good mommy, can't you tell? When its eggs hatch, it secretes an extra super fatty skin layer. And the babies, they go all over and they scrape it off with a special tooth. And it's just this beautiful bonding moment. Sicilian and Sicilian link. You know? So it's, again, we have an animal that is producing a secretion, some kind of juicy substance from its body. And now it's become much more complex. There's fats. There are lots of nutrition, vitamins, complex molecules are going into this. It's not just water anymore. So it's not a big jump to go from this. Okay, there's some more close-ups of the beautiful Sicilian scraping feeding. To go to something like this. This is a platypus. It is an egg-laying mammal. Okay, a monotreme. And we consider them very ancient, first try kind of mammals because these guys are still laying eggs, right? So they're just one of the branches that didn't die off. For whatever reason, they continue to be successful. They do not have any kind of teeth or nipple. Their milk actually just pools in little grooves on their belly. And the babies just kind of lap it up. Okay? So this is the next step, right? So we're producing something. There's not a specialized external digit gland for it yet. The gland is all subcutaneous, right? And it's just a secretion like sweat, but it gets the job done. All right? So this is sort of our second step. We've taken it past eggs to something that's alive and hatched, and now it's just coming through the skin. While all this is happening, the molecules in our evolutionary story are continuing to change. All right, so again, the genetics of this are complicated, but DNA evidence shows us that big ingredients in milk, casein and lactose, those existed before milk. They existed before mammals. They were actually really ancient. They find the evidence of them very, very deep down in our genome. So, remember when we were talking about that good sweat that we were selecting for? Evolution would have selected for things that had those chemicals coming out. Okay, so that's how we get some of that good stuff mixed in as our milk becomes more and more complex. And eventually, it's going to become radically complex, species to species, as different animals have different requirements. So, lastly, why nipples, right? Those monotremes, this is a spiny anteater, also an egg-laying mammal. First try, first run kind of mammal. And they do just fine, right? With just lapping it off mom's belly. So why did every other mammal go in a different direction? This is something that was confusing for a while. Again, looking through some ancient evidence, we talked about moisture equaling microbes. Some of those microbes, not so good. So actually, lapping a secretion off your mother's stomach when mixed with fur does not always equal good results health-wise. Maybe this is why there's only a few monotremes left, okay? This strategy, that solution didn't work enough times for it to become very prevalent. However, other animals, sweat glands started becoming more specialized, selection started pointing animals in a direction for a more specialized delivery system. Okay, so the less surface area that is exposed to our milky secretions, the less they can get contaminated with bad bacteria. Okay, and so now we've gone very specialized. Everybody has teats and nipples and dugs, and there's all kinds of fun words for them. And you can't show them. And all kinds of, now society has taken over the concept, and it's gone well beyond evolution into a weird place. But that is a very brief, very glazed over evolutionary history of lactation. And so here, this is a ruminant, so cows, hoofed things. That's udders versus the human teat, mammary gland. And they're really exactly the same, just located in different spots, but all the same pipe work is there. Use technical terms. But I wanted, before I leave you, to give you a couple all-stars of the lactation game here at its sort of terminus, where it's become very, very specialized as that radiating evolution has really taken hold. Our sea mammals, these big critters, underwater nursing, problematic because a liquid is just going to dissipate, right? That jellyfish-looking thing is actually whale's milk. Okay? So it's actually a very viscous, mucousy kind of substance, so that it can maintain its integrity. It doesn't get lost in the ocean. So that is what the whale calves are actually slurping in. A lot of people wonder how that happens underwater. So that's one kind of cool direction milk went in. And then, they're all over the place. We have a wallaby up here, and they are real all-stars because they, I like to call them a short order cook. So, you're making dinner, and what's for dinner? It's spaghetti. Well, I don't want that. I want chicken fingers. Well, I'm not a short order cook. You're having what I'm making, and everybody's getting the same thing, right? And you had that conversation in your house. she delivers. She can have one developing baby inside the pouch. It's born, it's attached to the teat, and it has very different requirements from older brother who is hopping around outside. They're both still nursing. And this kind of wallaby can produce 2 different kinds of milk, totally different chemical makeup, addressing the 2 different ages and developments of the baby, which is insane. The hormones involved in that feedback loop are super complicated and crazy. So that's an all-star. And then lastly, we have our hooded seals. And they have the highest fat percentage of all milk in the animal kingdom at a whopping 60%. That's more than ice cream or gelato or the fattiest thing you can think of. And there's a lot of other reasons why they have that. It has to do with feeding animals and stuff. But I can talk about that. Absolutely. So, those are our lactation all-stars. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight as to how we as humans got to where we are. And just kind of a fun angle to view babyhood and motherhood through this evolutionary lens. How did we get to this point? So, happy breastfeeding week, everybody. And we'll address the situation of male nipples at a later date.
Where do you get that up? So let's fast forward about 220 million years or so to present day. Cast your minds back. And take a look at another way that kind of motherhood applies itself to our everyday lives. So whether you are a mother, whether you have a mother, or whether you are raised by one, I think that includes all of us. Yes. This is our next song. Yeah.
She's got a smile that it seems to me reminds me of childhood memories. But everything was as fresh as the bright blue sky. Now and then when I see her face, she takes me away to that special place. I stare too long, I'll probably break down and cry. Whoa, sweet child of mine. Whoa, sweet child of mine. She's got eyes of the bluest skies, as if they thought of rain. I hate to look into those
delivered 6 babies, and I kept one of them. That was there. So one thing I know about that I'm going to talk to you guys about is surrogacy. So I had one pregnancy of my own, had a little girl, and I did have 3 surrogacy and twice delivered twins. I thought I'd just kind of share my own experience and then maybe go over a few of the questions that I commonly get asked, and we'll find out that I was a surrogate. So why did I choose to be a surrogate? So about a year after Anthony and I had been married, we found out that Anthony had CML, which is chronic myeloid leukemia. If you have to get cancer, it's kind of the cancer you want, I guess. Has the best odds, the best medicines, etc. Not that anyone, anyway. But it was a scary thing, and we didn't know what would happen. We didn't know if he would get into remission, if he'd need bone marrow transfer, all this stuff. So, you know, as a kid, I always wanted a family, and now we're faced with maybe we can't have one. Long story short, yes, we were able to. I won't go into details, I guess. Like, just he had to come off his medicine. It was kind of will it work, will it won't, and anyway, we were very excited that we were able to have a family. A couple years later, we ended up just looking at the idea of surrogacy, and we randomly both took like a pros and cons, like for and against, and I was the person giving all the reasons why someone should not be a surrogate. And after feeling like all the reasons that I came up with seemed just kind of, in a lot of ways, selfish or very me-centered of why I wouldn't do something like that, I actually kind of convinced myself that I wanted to do this. So that's how it started. Anyway, my experiences have been very broad. I first was a surrogate for a traditional family, a man and a woman, and they knew from the beginning, before they even met, she knew she couldn't have children because of a medical condition. So when they were ready to have a family, they picked an egg donor, a surrogate, got away, everybody was happy. The second family was a same-sex couple, and, well, they needed a uterus, and an egg donor, and it was a very exciting time for them to be starting their family. I had twin girls. They'll actually be 3 in September.
Aww.
And then the third time was another traditional family, but with completely different circumstances. They had been trying to have a family for about 10 years. The woman herself went through IVF about 15 times unsuccessfully, using 2 different egg donors in addition to her own eggs. So it was just a lot more emotional. I get screwed when it's third. We'll talk about it. Anyway, okay. So let me just maybe give you an overview of the process in general. I used an agency, which I highly recommend because they know what they're doing. They know how to match people up. They know the process. They hook you up with lawyers for contracts. So I basically had to fill out a big profile about myself as if I was filling out like a dating profile of my preferences, my likes, about me as a person, how many babies would I carry, and all these things. And then they match you with someone that is looking for a surrogate with those characteristics. It does kind of feel like a first date when you have to talk to these people on the phone. But considering the fact that you're going to have at least a 1-year relationship with them, it is definitely important to get to know them before you decide to move forward. Once contracts have been signed, and contracts were actually kind of scary and intimidating because it's about 40 pages long. It lists everything bad that could possibly happen, partly because of all the things that people have seen in the newspapers, like this. If I am in a car accident and they can keep me on life support and still deliver a baby, then they will do that. If they have to take the baby to save my life, then they will do that. So it's very specific and kind of scary, but covers everything. From there, start taking medications. Basically, just from, I guess, medically what they're doing is they're stopping, like shutting down the woman's reproductive system a little bit, kind of, so that I don't produce eggs because I don't want this to be my baby. And then once they stop that, then they trick the body into thinking it's pregnant. So to get the uterus ready to receive an embryo, which normally would happen on a monthly basis. But when you're stopping that process, then you have to restart it. Anyway, so there's a lot of injections every day, shots. And here I just have to say that I couldn't have done this without my husband because I'm scared of needles. And he did my shots every single day. They're about 3 months of shots. They start off little and then they get big. Not fun, and about that time every time I would say, why did I do this? But it's just what you have to do if you want to be a surrogate, I guess. After the embryo transfer, then most IVF centers require some bed rest, and it's not scientifically proven that that actually helps, but it's more to make everybody feel better, that you're not going to go running and jumping around when they're trying for their little embryo to stick and take, because it implants within about 2 days, and so they just want you nice and relaxed, and it's kind of a little mini vacation for someone with a toddler to be forced to go to this nice hotel and have room service for 3 days. From there, it is sort of like a regular pregnancy, but with 2 or 3 times the amount of doctor's visits, getting checked every week, especially if you have twins. And then after about, I think, your first trimester, you get to just go to a regular OB and kind of be a little normal after that. I guess that's kind of process up until delivery. So some of the questions that people usually ask me are, isn't it hard to give up the baby? And for me, I just, no, not at all. Because you go into this thinking, this is not my baby, this is somebody else's. And it's just exciting when it works. And you know their backstory, you know them, and you know their hope and dream, and you're just so excited to be part of it. And so then to see, this is where I get really teary. Sorry. Just the look on their face when they finally have their baby. That's why you do it. Because the funny thing is I don't actually enjoy pregnancy at all. It's not fun. But it's just that, at the end, that's why you do it. There also is a difference between traditional surrogacy and gestational surrogacy. A long time ago, they had to use the woman's own eggs, and I think that would be a lot harder to carry a baby that is actually genetically related to you and then be giving it over. But most of the time now, they just use gestational surrogates, and so it is not genetically related to me at all. The first baby I had was Spanish, like little Mexican baby. So that it was just kind of funny to I just had that baby. And it was interesting. I also get asked a lot, can you choose who you work with? And yes, you definitely would want to. And kind of reviewed that already. And what's the relationship afterwards? And that just kind of depends on the people and how things progress. For example, my first family, I actually don't have any contact with them. I'm okay with it, because, you know, as sure even you all have some friends that as you grow apart, you just lose contact slowly over time. I kind of knew from the way the pregnancy went and how busy they were that I probably wouldn't have a lot of contact with them. And it was nice, I got a couple pictures the first year that I haven't really heard from them. The second family, I talk to a few times a year still. We actually, Adelaide and I went and visited them in Texas, and it's really fun to be part of their lives. And I think it's definitely a little bit different with a same-sex couple in that there is no mother in that role, or like that I'm feeling like, is she gonna feel intimidated, or, you know, it's not an issue. With the third family, I still hear from them occasionally and get some photo updates, and so we'll see how it goes. But I'm personally, I feel fine either way, because I know that, you know, I am doing this to help create a family. This isn't something I was doing for me. So if we grow apart or if we slowly lose contact, I'm okay with that. And, but you also, part of getting to know someone before you sign the contracts is talking about those things, like what kind of because there are some people that know for sure right off the bat they absolutely don't want to talk to their surrogate afterwards, and in that case they would have to have a surrogate that was totally fine with that up front. And just everybody's different. People ask if it's common to have twins. Yes, it is very common now with just the advances in science, and you know, 6 years ago people would put in embryos and hope that they would get one baby, and now if you put in two, you probably will get two. So a lot of times doctors are even urging people to just go with a single embryo transfer because twins has its own risks. So I get asked a lot about the cost. I would say, and maybe I know this because in addition, I was a case manager for about 25 other surrogates at A Perfect Match, was an agency I worked for in San Diego. So I would say the average cost is between $80,000 and $100,000, and that depends a lot on, and that would include the IVF fees, surrogate fees, agency fees, donor fees, insurance, lawyers, that would be everything. A lot of that's going to depend on if you need a donor, if you have to pay for that, how many times you might have to go through the IVF cycle. It doesn't always work the first time, and actually miscarriage is a lot higher rate with IVF than regular pregnancy. So there's a lot of variables. To be honest, I don't know how it compares to adoption. Sometimes people ask me that, but I don't actually know. I'm not an expert on adoption. Some people ask if people just hire a surrogate because they don't want to be pregnant, and I guess I would say maybe it's possible that someone would do that, but for the most part, I've never heard of that. I think if a woman wants a family, she usually wants to be the one to carry her child, and only if it's medically necessary would have someone else have those first experiences of the first kid and, you know, birth, even though it's not fun, you know, it's an experience. So I guess I'll just see if anyone has any other questions they want me to answer, or I can talk to you later. Yeah.
The U.S. is one of the only countries that still has legal surrogacy. Is that your understanding?
I think it's definitely the easiest in the U.S. And it even varies state by state. It's illegal in Arizona. California is actually the easiest state because You sign all your paperwork in advance, and they just take the baby home from the hospital. In Minnesota here, because I delivered in November, we signed all the paperwork in advance so that they could take their baby home, but then we had to go to court afterwards, and they had to adopt their own children from us. So it's definitely preferred to do it in California, where you don't have to go to court afterwards. It's all done ahead of time. I know India does surrogacy, but there's a lot of people can have a great experience, or it can be really difficult. And yeah, I don't know a lot on the countries, but I do know with the U.S. it's definitely the easiest. Anyway, if anyone wants a man's perspective, you can feel free to talk to Anthony in the boxing mouth shirt right there.
Thanks, Julia. And we're just going to take kind of a moment of silence right now, just to kind of have a little peace and quiet. We don't always do that today, and so it's a good opportunity for that. Well, thank you all for coming today. I think we had a really great program today. Certainly, as I've been thinking about it, the thing that I'm really finding that I really enjoy about Sunday Assembly is learning about things that I probably wouldn't Google myself. But that's kind of an amazing thing, because there's a lot of groups you can go to, and you know what you're signing up for, and you know that's why you're there. But that kind of keeps us very narrow-minded. And I think one of the beautiful things here is that we really are getting different perspectives from presenters that come in, from presenters within our organization, and with people who share, like Julia did today on One Thing I Know. And it really gives us a broader perspective. And my takeaway, kind of from Jen's talk today, is really thinking about how interdependent we really are. In America, we really tout this kind of independence, and I'm going to do things in my individual way, and it's all about me. And we forget how much our own actions really do affect each other, and how careful we need to be with our actions, and how we really need to reach out to others and not kind of hold ourselves up. So I think that's a really good takeaway for me, and I think it's another great reason why Sunday Assembly exists, so we can kind of form these kinds of relationships. But now on to kind of some of the announcements and things going on in Sunday Assembly. There's some really cool things going on. First, I want to kind of highlight, I'll highlight our SMOOPs. Those are what we call our small groups at Sunday Assembly. The Hertzes have their backyard movie night, which has been very popular. And the next one will be August 29th at 7 p.m. Do you have a movie picked out yet?
Serenity.
Oh, and they'll be watching Serenity. If you haven't, you must see this movie, so it's a great opportunity to watch that. And bring a snack to share, a beverage, and a chair if you can. So check up, that'll be August 29th at 7 p.m. at the Hertz's home. The information's in your brochure. It's also on meetup.com. Aaron and I host Meetup Wine with Ted. And the next one will be August 20th at 7:30 p.m. And we start our first Talk Talk at 8, so get there on time. If you can't be on time, that's okay though too. We'll still welcome you. But there's usually some wine and cheese and lots of fun, laughter, and good discussion. Keith Mullen over there hosts the brunch around the cities, and they meet once a month on a Saturday morning to have brunch. We don't know the location yet. We know it's going to be in St. Paul, August 15th at 10 o'clock. Check Meetup for more details there as well. And I want you to also be aware of that we are now volunteering at a soup kitchen on a regular basis. So I think it's a great opportunity to kind of give back to our local community here in the Twin Cities. And Ben is the contact for that. It's just a 2-hour commitment once a month. So if you're not busy volunteering something else right now, I think it's a great opportunity to volunteer. Let's see. Next month, if you can, we're going to be donating children's books kind of at the beginning of the school year. So bring that to a Sunday Assembly event. Our next Sunday Assembly gathering is on September 13th too. And that is also going to be after next month's Sunday Assembly. There's going to be a membership meeting. And to be a member, you just have to sign up. There's a couple laptops you can sign up today or on your computer at home. You just agree with the charter, and that'll allow you to vote, and we're going to vote in our board of directors, or you may have heard them as the A-team or the leadership team. So if you want to be a part of that process, then you'll want to become a member. And Angela, I believe, has an announcement.
Hi, can everyone hear me from here? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to mention today's all about babies. I also do last Thursday. But I am a part of a program that is looking for more volunteers. It's called Bright Beginnings through FamilyWise in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And they are, what I do is mentor a teen mom. And the teen moms range in age from 12 to 21. And so you get matched with just one person, and then you form a relationship with them, and really you're committing to basically kind of connecting with them on a, they suggest weekly basis, but a regular basis. And then taking them to the monthly meetings, and also kind of helping them make sure that they get to doctor's appointments and things. So it's been a really great experience, and they're really short on mentors right now. You do have to be a woman, at least 25 years old. You don't have to be a mom. I was not pregnant when I first started with them. You just have to be kind of open to their experiences and just being there to support them. You don't need to have any special skills necessarily, but just be kind of a friend, take them out, do things. So we've gone to the zoo and stuff. He comes with me sometimes, and I'll bring her friends to I'll bring her friends to the mall. Kind of remember that they're still kids too. So. Anyway, it's a neat program. If anyone's interested, please contact me. Probably today is the best day to do it. I'm not sure I'll be here next month. Or you can contact me through Meetup. And I don't know what my name is on Meetup anymore. But
is there a website or something people can go to?
Yeah. I'm not sure what it is. So yeah, just come talk to me. And if you don't know who I am or you can't find me, contact Jen and she knows how to get a hold of me. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. Yep. They're pointing at the pigs. So on each of your tables, there's a little donation pig, and they've got each little stories. It takes a little bit of money to make things happen here at Sunday Assembly. Media doodads and event space and communications and that kind of thing. So if you enjoy Sunday Assembly and feel a part of it, we really encourage you to give what you can. Any amount is good, and we really appreciate your donations as well. I also wanted to highlight today's volunteers. There are many people who volunteer throughout the month, but I just kind of wanted to highlight the volunteers, and they're in your program. But a few people we left off the list on accident, and I definitely want to just highlight Dan Jensen in the back corner there on the camera. So he's kind of the most reliable volunteer ever. So we never have to communicate with him. He just shows up with his camera. And that's really important because that's part of are, if you don't know, Sunday Assembly is a national organization, and we're a chapter in Minneapolis. In order to get kind of certified as an official chapter, we kind of have to show them what we're doing so they don't think we're too crazy or something. So it's such a valuable thing that Dan has done for us, as well as I wanted to thank Tom and Jacqueline as well, because they always are here early setting up and helping us out with that. So that's really appreciated as well. So just give it up for all our volunteers. And then with that, our announcements are done, unless someone else wants to go and say, no, you forgot something. We've got one last song to finish things off with. I will say we've got refreshments in the back. Please stick around and chat with your neighbors. We've got a couple laptops up to sign up to be a member, so you can vote in the meeting. And that is the last kind of process before we become an official Sunday Assembly. We have to have, an official board. So that's why that step is so important to us. So thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, we have one last song, so why don't we all stand? Because we've been sitting for a while. It's a good idea.
Where we'll go. Stretch.
Yes, stretch.
I was too. I was there. I felt that thing.